they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hello, Desmond, Danny, Joe, Claudette, We the People, 504 NOLA is in the virtual building. G from the land. All right. Guy is here. Andrea, Sheila, Leon. Okay, let's get into it. Love, Christy. Okay, Reggie, I see you, beloved. Shout out to all my loyal royals. I see you, Nessa G. All right, Claudette. Shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they stay putting in work. Hello, Millicent. Okay, so Pretty Wings is here. All right, Jacqueline. So before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. I see you, Chili Willie from Philly and J Love the Queen. All right, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget, you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let's just jump right into it because Iran is not trying to have any talks of negotiation with Trump. We already know how that turned out last time they were trying to talk to him. But here's the thing. Let's take a look at this threat that Iran recently made. Specifically about them sending people boots on the ground, sending the troops their boots on the ground. It says, "Welcome to hell." Okay, this is what Iran's Daily posted. Troops will leave in coffins. Okay, warning to U.S. over ground invasion. Do y'all hear this? These people are serious. At the end of the day, Trump just needs to pack it up and send everybody home. Okay, what is he thinking? There's no way for them to have a successful ground invasion. It's just not going to happen. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip from an article that I was reading. Now, Iran's English language Tehran Times on Saturday issued a blunt warning to the U.S. against any potential ground invasion of Iran, declaring that foreign troops entering its territory would leave only in coffins. The stark message splashed across its front page under the headline, "Welcome to Hell," underscores rising tensions as Washington weighs sending additional forces to the Middle East. Now, discussions in Washington are around limited ground operations, with President Donald Trump reportedly showing private interest in deploying a small number of U.S. troops inside Iran for targeted missions, though no final decision has been made. You know, experts have told Trump none of this was a good idea, but sadly, he doesn't listen. Okay, he just doesn't. Now, that all being said, here is a report, Mohammed Morandi on U.S. ground invasion. Okay, this came out 2 hours ago. Okay, and so let's see. Oh, hold on. Yeah, here it is. Okay. No, hold on. Here's one from 29 minutes ago. Okay, so let's go to the more updated one. Let's get into it because I told you all this was a bad idea from the start. And you know, there are rumors and speculation that some of the Delta 82 have already been captured. Now, we haven't been able to substantiate that. But has the U.S. even come out and addressed it? Have they even come out and addressed it? And I'm going to tell you something else that I found out too. Now, here's the thing. I can't substantiate this, but because I Googled it, I went to Chat GPT, but it said there was no verified claims. But you know, we get different information, okay, from these other outlets than we do the mainstream media. So, you know, they're saying that the day after the war started, which was February the 28th, that Trump decided to classify the deaths. Did he decide to classify the deaths or to lie about the number of the death toll? Like I told you all weeks ago. Okay, and we already know that they had to have been lying. Okay, they're still lying in my opinion, but they had to have been lying because there were multiple U.S. bases, okay, U.S. military bases hit over there in the GCC countries or over in the Gulf states, right? So with that all being said, we're supposed to think nobody got killed. There was nobody really killed or injured in all of that. So those bases were empty. Of course they weren't. Okay, of course they weren't. And I absolutely believe that Trump, he may have classified it, but at the very least, I know he's been lying about it. That's what I do know. It didn't take rocket science for us to figure that all out. Okay, so let's get into this and see what Mohammed Morandi has to say.
Has repeated his threats this morning to destroy Iran's oil infrastructure as well as its power generation plants. Again, he said there are talks taking place. He said these talks are making great progress. They're going very well. He added this morning that the U.S. is now talking to what he called a, quote, new and more reasonable regime. Those are his words. Do you know anything about these talks? Can we attach any credibility to what the US president is saying, or is this just about the markets and where they're going?
The fact that he threatens to carry out crimes against humanity, and the Western media is not shocked, or no one is outraged by this. It just shows that the entire political class of the United States and the collective West is just utterly corrupt. And this is the Epstein class and their lack of values that have led to this situation. The media doesn't pick up on this. No, there are no negotiations taking place. And the Iranians have been very clear that the facts on the ground have to change. And if the United States starts targeting Iran's critical infrastructure, no doubt, without any doubt, Iran will destroy the critical infrastructure that is literally controlled by the West. And of course, its proxies in the Persian Gulf are partners in the war against Iran. So it will destroy that critical infrastructure, and that will lead to a global economic depression far greater than 1929.
Now, there are already more forces, United States forces in the region. We've seen these thousands of troops moving into the area, and this all comes amid threats of a land invasion. In fact, the United States says that its goals now, and its goals keep changing, but its goals now is to seize Iran's uranium stockpile, as well as seize Kharg Island, which is the oil terminal, the oil port that Iran uses to export its oil. With these troops in the region right now, how do you see this playing out?
It will fail. Of course, when they launch their ground invasion, which will probably come soon, you will see the collective Western media, even West opponents of Trump, talk about the great successes and how they're making progress and how they're taking this land and that land and how the Iran. And for a couple of days, a lot of people will believe it. And then just like at the beginning of this war of aggression, we saw the same narrative. But then after a few days, it became clear that that wasn't the case and they're not winning. Ultimately, the United States will lose. They will not succeed. And any escalation will bring about escalation from the Iranian side. An escalation on the Iranian side and the axis of resistance, meaning Iraq and Yemen and, of course, Hezbollah, that escalation will cause that escalation that would be initiated by the Trump and Netanyahu regimes would have permanent damage to the global economy. It will only make things worse. So the more they push and they move down this road of escalation, the more long-term damage is caused to the oil and gas installations and the petrochemical plants and the tankers in a way in which they're irreversible for years. And so it will only make the economic collapse more long-term and more deep for the entire world. And the world will blame the United States and the Israeli regime, and the American people will blame the Israeli regime, because they will all know that this war is not in the interest of the United States, and it was imposed on the United States by the Israeli regime. And that, I think, is something that Zionists are not thinking about carefully, but ultimately they will pay the price.
And here's the thing. People are absolutely going to blame Trump and Bibi SATANyahu. They're already doing so. There are people all over TikTok doing videos basically saying that no matter what Iran does, they have a right to do it because we struck the first blow, because we started this war. That's what people are saying. And you know what I was also thinking about? I was thinking about how it's mostly our soldiers fighting Iran. Bibi's people, they're over there in Lebanon, okay? Some of them are hiding out in bunkers. Some of them have said they refuse to continue to fight. The IDF is collapsing. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. And here's the thing. Somebody did a video. I don't know if I uploaded it, but there was a young lady who did a video, and she said that if Israel was bigger and they had more weapons, do you really think they wouldn't bomb the U.S.? Of course, I absolutely think they would. I absolutely think they would. I think that as far as they're concerned, the U.S. is just a tool for them to use. That's my opinion. Okay, but let's continue.
Now, there is a possibility that this conflict could expand in the region itself. Iran has already hit targets in Kuwait. It's hit targets in Saudi Arabia as well. We've seen these reports of Iran targeting a United States surveillance plane, the AWACS plane. They were destroyed. Targets in Kuwait, as I said, have been hit as well. These states have also threatened to retaliate directly against Iran. What happens if they carry out their threat?
Nothing. These are empty threats. First of all, where were these American assets? Where was the AWACS plane destroyed? It was in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a part of this war. They're a part of the aggression. They cannot pretend they're neutral. They're agents of empire. And the same is true with Kuwait and Qatar and the Emirates. They're all agents of empire.
You know, this is all very interesting because absolutely, here's the thing. Iran told them, they gave them a choice. Do not allow them back on your soil. Okay, don't let them back over there, or we're going to start striking you too, because we're going to strike the infrastructure that belongs to the U.S. And so that's what they're doing. So can't say they weren't warned. But see, the Saudi Arabians and Qatar, they're in bed with the U.S., with Trump. Okay, they gave him that very expensive plane, Qatar did. Trump invited the Saudi crown prince, despite him being a whole murderer who killed that journalist, okay? He killed that journalist, Khashoggi, let's not forget. And wasn't his body dismembered and all of that so heinous? But Trump invited him to the White House, just like he invited an Al-Qaeda linked person to the White House. Y'all remember that, okay? But didn't they tell us, the U.S. that is, didn't they say that Al-Qaeda are the ones responsible for 9/11 under the orders of Osama bin Laden? So why would you invite someone who's linked to Al-Qaeda to the White House? So that's not treasonous? They don't see anything wrong with that? They don't have several questions? Or maybe Al-Qaeda wasn't the one who did 9/11. Maybe it's somebody that Trump is very close to. Well, let's continue.
And if they strike Iran, then Iran will hit back harder. Iran has already said that any strike on us will be hit. Iran will respond massively with mass power. And Iran has already shown that. When the Israeli regime struck Iran's South Pars gas field, the Iranians had already said beforehand that we'll hit back harder. And Iran did so. It struck Israeli, Qatari, Saudi, and Emirati assets with great devastation. And that's what caused Trump to write on Truth Social that I had no knowledge about it, which is a lie. And all these attacks are coordinated between the two countries. He may not be involved because he's busy playing golf, but his people would definitely know. And then he said Israel won't do it again, which we don't believe, because we don't believe him. And he's not the boss anyway. And that is another reason why talking with the United States is not useful. The United States is treacherous. We had the nuclear deal of 2015. Trump tore it up. We were negotiating 9 months ago. He was secretly conspiring against us. Again, this time around, he did the same thing. And right now, he's looking, by all accounts, for an off-ramp, but the Israeli regime and the Zionists won't give it to him. So obviously, he's not the boss. So why should we negotiate with someone who's not in charge of the United States?
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing the impact of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz around the world. We've seen so many countries around the world now adopt emergency measures to reduce demand on energy. We're seeing some countries actually close their businesses earlier because they don't have the energy to keep those businesses open. What will it take from Iran's part for that strait to be reopened?
Well, the strait is not completely closed. Iran is helping countries that are particularly vulnerable. But first of all, Iran has to make sure that the facts on the ground change. So these Arab family dictatorships in the Persian Gulf, which have no popular legitimacy, they cannot be allowed to be a platform to murder Iranians in future. And they will have to pay reparations. So they have to behave like normal countries. And Also, Iran's allies across the region, which are being targeted by the Zionist regime and the Americans, they have to be feel safe and secure. The Zionist regime had a ceasefire with Lebanon. They were violating it every day and murdering people every day. In the case of Gaza, they've been violating the ceasefire, even to greater with greater deadly results. That's not acceptable. So the facts on the ground have to change. The Iranians have to feel assured that in future their sovereignty will be respected. And a few words by Trump or a piece of paper with his signature means nothing to us after what has happened. And these countries in the Persian Gulf region, they have no reason to complain. They brought this upon themselves.
That's right.
They thought that they could have their cake and eat it too.
Thank you.
They thought that they could be agents of empire and see the empire destroy other countries through them. And they can just walk and sit in their palaces and in their restaurants and enjoy themselves. That's not going to happen.
Oops. Y'all heard what he said? It's not going to happen. And they did. They made their bed, so now they have to lie in it. They were given a choice. Okay, that's what they were given. Now, lawyer says Trump has ordered an underground bomb shelter for the West Wing of the White House after North Korea made it known of their long-range missile that can hit any target in the U.S. Yes, absolutely. Okay, he was just talking about it. Yes, absolutely. Trump has a bunker in the White House. I want y'all to pay attention. But here's the thing. Now, this just a few hours ago. So after Spain, U.S. gets another no. Okay, as Italy denies American aircraft permission to use its base. Rome refuses authorization for a U.S. stopover en route to the Middle East, saying no formal request was made after Spain denied airspace access for Iran war-linked flights. Okay, are y'all hearing this? They're not letting them through. Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto denied permission. Okay, this is what ANSA said, noting that no formal authorization has been requested and the Italian military command had not been consulted. The flight plan was communicated while the aircraft was already in the air. The nerve! So they think they're going to wait to the last minute and say, oh yeah, we're already here. Y'all don't have any choice but to let us on through. Not. Okay, and checks confirm these were not regular or logistical flights covered under Italy's existing treaty with the United States. Now, the move comes a day after Spanish government officials confirmed that Spain has also denied the United States the use of its airspace for flights linked to the war involving Iran. Now, the restrictions also apply to U.S. aircraft stationed in third countries such as the United Kingdom and France. Spanish military sources gave this information. Now, Washington had also explored deploying strategic bombers such as B-52 and B-1 aircraft to bases in southern Spain. But the proposal was dropped after Madrid made it clear that it would not support operations without international legal backing. Tensions in the Middle East have escalated since Israel and United States launched a joint offensive against Iran on February the 28th, resulting in more than 1,300 deaths, including the supreme leader, Khamenei. Now, Iran has retaliated with drone and missile strikes targeting Israel, Jordan, Iraq, and Gulf countries hosting U.S. military assets, causing casualties and infrastructure damage while disrupting global markets and aviation. Okay, this is not good. And let me just say this. Trump is such an idiot because he now wants to try to strike a deal with Iran. We already had a deal with Iran. Okay, Barack Obama had a deal with Iran in 2015 called the Iran Nuclear Deal, officially known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Okay, now let's talk about it because it was a 2015 agreement between Iran and several world powers. These include the US, UK, France, Germany, Russia, and China. And so Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program. In return, the US and others lifted economic sanctions on Iran. Now, Iran also agreed to cut about 97% of its enriched uranium stockpile to reduce nuclear equipment, okay, like centrifuges, by about 70%, to stop producing plutonium for weapons, allow international inspections of its nuclear facilities. Unlike Bibi, he will not let them inspect it. We don't know what in the hell he's got going on down there, and nobody seems to be concerned. This man's a whole maniac, okay, a genocidal one at that. It's true. So anyway, they agreed to limit uranium enrichment for about 10 to 15 years. And see, the whole goal was to make it very hard for Iran to build a nuclear weapon. But it's okay for Bibi to have it. So what the U.S. and allies gave Iran in exchange for this, they lifted many economic sanctions, allowed Iran access to billions of dollars in frozen assets. See, this is what Trump said something about this one day. He was talking about how the U.S. gave Iran billions. That was their money. That was Iran's money. Okay, period. That was all of their assets. Their assets have been frozen. Their money had been taken, and all of that. And so when the deal, or actually when they made the deal with Barack Obama, Barack gave them money, but that was their money already. Okay. So also they agreed to let Iran re-enter global oil markets. Now, the purpose of the deal was meant to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons, avoid war, and put Iran under strict monitoring. I just find this all interesting. They want to monitor people who never started anything with the U.S., but they don't do anything about somebody who's literally just taking people up out of here, whole villages full of people, torturing, having people tortured, all sorts of heinous things. I don't even want to talk about some of the stuff that I saw because it really just ticked me off. I never really paid so much attention to the stuff they were doing to those people over there in Gaza because I didn't want to see it because it was just so ghastly just from hearing about it. But I looked at a couple of those videos, and when I tell you the devil is busy and his name is SATANyahu, please pay attention. Now, anyway, critics argued that it didn't permanently stop Iran. Okay, some limits expired later, but it didn't address Iran's missile program or regional influence. Now, supporters say it successfully limited Iran's nuclear program, and it was the best peaceful option available. So why would Trump want to change it? Well, because President Obama did it, of course. So in 2018, Trump pulled the U.S. out of the deal and sanctions were reimposed, and Iran later resumed and expanded nuclear activity. So for President Obama's deal, they say you scaled back your nuclear program and we lift sanctions. That's basically cut and dry what President Obama told him. And then, they were talking about how Obama gave Iran billions, like I said. That's just all their own money. It wasn't like the U.S. gave them. It was basically not reparations, but it was giving them back what was already owed. Exactly, Andrea. Bibi absolutely did. He's a wicked devil. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this clip where this guy's talking about them basically talking about classifying the number of deaths. I absolutely believe Trump did it. And like I said, at the very least, we know that he's been lying about it. So classified or not, he's not telling the truth. He's not being transparent. And why wouldn't you? You're the one sending these people's sons and daughters over there to get slaughtered. Okay? And I want you all to think about this. Listen, I feel like Trump is making us sitting ducks. He's sending our soldiers over there for a war we shouldn't even be involved in. There's no telling how many casualties because they're not telling us the truth, the government that is. Okay, now other outlets can estimate, but we don't know an exact number, and that's all crazy. And then they sent the best of the best over there, okay, when they sent the Delta Force. And supposedly, allegedly, they have been captured, at least 50 of them. Now, I don't know if that's true, but what if it is? Are we not sitting ducks for anybody who wants to attack the U.S.? Okay, y'all don't think other people want to attack the U.S. and just haven't done so because they felt like they were out, they didn't have enough power because of the U.S.'s military might? But if they're over there getting all of our soldiers killed, then what? If they're over there running out of munitions and all of this, then what? Okay, this is the worst idea ever. But let's continue.
Sure, you're definitely not going to believe this, but on day one of the Iran war, President Trump decided that he was going to classify the deaths. Yes, you heard that right. So he started an illegal war, and then he illegally sent your children off to die in that war, and then he decided that he was going to take your right to know how many of our children have been killed away from you, the American people? Because, man, it might be a PR nightmare if Americans realize that there were over 1,000 of our sons and daughters that have already been slaughtered in this war. You might think I'm full of shit. Well, let me let Redacted fill you in on that.
Parsi on our show earlier this week revealed that within 24 hours of this war starting, the United States classified U.S. casualties. You don't classify U.S. casualties if you're proud of how well things are going.
So now I'm sure you're definitely not going to believe this, but on day one of the Iran war.
Now, think about that. Now, why would he have done that on the first day of the war? Why would he have done that on the first day of the war? Okay? It had to have been quite a few casualties, if you ask me, for him to make that decision on the first day. Okay, I'm going to put on some background music, beloveds, just in case I play any clips that need to be edited, or so I don't have to use an overlay. Okay, the background music will edit it enough. Now, mind you, I told you all that my audio is kind of messed up on my side, so I can't hear the music. So once in the chat, if the music is too loud, once in the chat, if the music is too loud, because I can't hear it. The U.S. has given Bibi the Satanist money for years just because. Okay, so everybody's saying it's perfect. Okay, great. Thank you, beloveds. Okay, so now let's continue. Let's continue. This guy says, Iran-Lebanon war update. Hezbollah carried out more than 30 attacks. Okay, let's get into it.
News in the last 16 hours, it has been crazy for the U.S. and Israel. I'm going to run you down a list of what's going on. Iran bombed Israel's Teva pharmaceutical factory, the largest generic drug manufacturer on earth, causing chemical leaks, secondary explosions, and the factory burning. They also knocked out an Israeli power plant in the Negev completely offline and carried out 27 strikes on the Negev with zero visible air defense activations, not one interception, nothing. Iran struck the Haifa port oil refinery, and stocks collapsed 4% within hours. U.S. bases were hit simultaneously in Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. 4 countries in one coordinated attack. Iran announces it will begin bombing the personal homes of U.S. and Israeli military commanders and claims full control of the Strait of Hormuz. 40% of the world's seaborne oil goes through that strait.
Did y'all hear that? He said they said they would start bombing the homes. Okay, y'all hear this? Said they would start bombing the homes. Okay, please pay attention, of the leaders.
Yemen has entered the war on Iran's side, and Iraq has entered the war and is sending aid to Iran. In Lebanon, Hezbollah carried out more than 30 attacks on Israeli military sites, troops, vehicles, and positions using rockets, suicide drones, guided missiles, and artillery, scoring direct hits on soldiers in a house in Al-Quza, a D9 bulldozer, and multiple rocket salvos on settlements and military sites, plus direct clashes along the southern border. Israel and the U.S. are reporting that Israel significantly expanded its ground invasion in southern Lebanon, advancing deeper toward the Litani River to enlarge its security buffer zone, with Netanyahu ordering the IDF to push further and seize more territory. Israeli forces conducted heavy airstrikes and artillery shelling across southern Lebanon and Beirut's southern suburbs, striking residential areas, roads, and infrastructure. An Israeli strike destroyed a marked media vehicle, killed 3 Lebanese journalists, hit a Lebanese army position near Sur, killing 1 soldier, and a projectile struck a UNIFIL peacekeeping position near Taiba, killing 1 peacekeeper and critically injuring another. Israel and the United States continued coordinated large-scale airstrikes on Iran, hitting over 140 additional military, missile production, drone, and infrastructure targets. President Trump issued a fresh threat to bomb Iran's Karg Island oil facilities and power plants if Tehran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, while stating that the talks with Iran are ongoing.
He is not talking to Iran. I don't know why this man is still lying. And then they came out and tried to say that basically he's having mediators. the people from Pakistan. Said some of the Pakistan leaders are basically, the mediators between the two. Well, here's what I heard days ago, because that's all cap too, in my opinion. I don't believe it until the Pakistani people come out and admit to it, because what I remember reading days ago was that there was a message sent to Iran telling them through Pakistan that Trump wanted to talk, and Iran rejected. They didn't want to hear anything from him. And why would they? Why would they want to hear anything from him after all the low down nefarious things that he's done? Sat there, he can just forget that. Okay, that ship has sailed. They had that whole 12-day war in June of last year, sat back, regrouped, got themselves together, and did what they did to Venezuela, Trump that is, and then thought, hey, we'll just do this to Iran too. And then, here's the thing. I just really feel like Bibi SATANyahu specifically got Trump. Now, this is my opinion, but I really think that Bibi SATANyahu got Trump to have that school in Minab hit. I believe that that was all by design. Now, we're going to get into the spirituality of all of this in a minute, but also why that school was really targeted, in my opinion. And not just because those are the soldiers' children, those were the soldiers' children, but not only that, it's something else too. And I also think that they wanted to make sure that the U.S. had blood on their hands as far as taking out innocent civilians. Okay, that's what I think. And they wanted the U.S. to take the blame for that. Okay? That's just what I think. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip that came out a couple of hours ago from Australia. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds.
Crossed over to its second month.
These are the main events that you need to know about as the conflict continues.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Yeah, well, it appears that the first shots may well have been fired in this dispute. We know that this morning at 8:13 a.m. Israeli local time, a message was sent across every single phone in the country. I received one as well, warning of imminent action.
The US and Israel were negotiating with Iran to bring an end to their nuclear enrichment programs when they launched surprise attacks on the country on February 28th.
Thousands of explosives rained down across Iran in the first 24 hours, including on the compound of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Khamenei was killed in the attack, bringing an end to a 36-year-long rule highlighted by the violent and fatal response to student-led protests in January.
The first wave of bombings also hit a girls' elementary school in Minab in Iran, which, according to local officials, killed 168 people, more than 100 of which were children.
Within hours, Iran had already launched retaliation attacks on Israel and neighboring countries in the Gulf of Persia that host US military bases. War continued to spread across the region over the following days, including Lebanon, who was dragged into yet another conflict with Israel after militia group Hezbollah launched rockets over their southern border into Israel.
The group's attack breached a ceasefire agreement struck between Israel and Hezbollah in 2024, which Israel is also accused of breaching, with missile strikes being launched into Lebanon nearly every day.
About the same time as Hezbollah's first attacks, Iran also warned every ship in the Persian Gulf that it would attack anyone trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The decision has sent shockwaves across the global economy, which relies on this narrow shipping route for about a fifth of the world's oil supply and about a third of the world's nitrogen fertilizer.
This has also led to major supply concerns here in Australia and around the world as petrol prices reach record highs as service stations run dry. In order to relieve increasing costs, the government has halved the fuel excise for 3 months, while a national fuel security plan is implemented across the country.
The halving of the fuel excise will reduce the cost of fuel by 26.3 cents per litre.
While the world was grappling with the effects of war, an 88-member panel called the Assembly of Experts selected Ali Khamenei's 56-year-old son Mujtaba as the country's new supreme leader. Mujtaba had spent his entire life learning how to follow in his father's footsteps, having watched his father help lead the revolution against the Shah as a child before serving in Iran's paramilitary group, the IRGC, and getting a religious education from Shia Muslim leaders.
But there are fears that he may be more ruthless than his father, as the attack on Ali's compound also killed Mujtaba's wife, child, older sister, and brother-in-law.
According to local authorities, more than 3,000 people have been killed already in Iran and Lebanon in just the first month. Retaliation attacks on military and civilian infrastructure across the region have also killed 13 US service members and dozens more in Israel.
But thousands more have been injured, and just in Lebanon, more than 1 million people have been displaced by Israeli attacks.
There is some hope, though, as US President Donald Trump has signaled that he would like to strike a deal with Iran to bring an end to the war.
But it doesn't appear that it will happen anytime soon, as Iran has refused the first list of demands and has vowed that they will end the war on their own terms.
Now, I want you all to pay attention because Trump just goes from one extreme to the next. He says one thing and then says another. He just said that he was not begging them, they were begging him, and that they wanted the deal, but Trump's the one that wants the deal. He desperately needs it. He just wants this to be over with. It is not what he expected. Everybody's looking at him like he's crazy. He's worried about midterms, whether they can steal him or not, and he knows it's all going to go bad. And let me just tell you all something. Another thing that I think is important is I've told you all before that they really want J.D. Vance as president, the Republicans. They really want J.D. Vance in charge because they know that Trump's likely, in my opinion, possibly, allegedly has dementia, frontal temporal dementia. Okay, he just says the craziest things. Okay, he's not in off. He's just not altogether there. Doesn't seem like it. But J.D. Vance is worse than Trump. Think about how J.D. Vance defended those young Republicans' racist remarks and called them children. Oh, they're just boys being boys or something like that, whatever he said. But here's the thing that I found interesting. J.D. Vance, remember how he dragged Trump in 2016? He did not like Trump. He said Trump was America's Hitler. That's what he said. J.D. Vance said that about Trump. So how does he now like this man? He doesn't. He doesn't. Let me tell you what's really going on here. Okay. As I was doing my research last night, and I said, oh, yeah, this is all interesting. So I wrote it all down in case I forgot. But here's the thing. Peter Thiel, okay, friends with J.D. Vance. And in fact, he donated $15 million to J.D. Vance's 2022 campaign, which he won, by the way. But that large amount, you know, 15 million, that was the largest amount ever to be donated, especially to someone that doesn't even have any experience. But that's what Peter Thiel did. And then after talking all of that trash about Trump and calling him America's Hitler and a culture heroine, that's what he called him, a cultural heroine. Now, then after all of that, he asked Peter Thiel to introduce him to Trump. Now, why would he want to meet the man that he had so much disdain for? Okay, Albie Chill called him J.D. Prance. Absolutely. Okay, so now why would he want to meet Trump? Now, with that all being said, he was finally introduced to Trump in 2021. Okay, and then Tucker Carlson supposedly convinced Trump to endorse J.D. Vance, which he did. And like I said, J.D. Vance won, okay? Then, after the attempted assassination, Elon Musk and a man by the name of David Sachs, they launched a secret lobbying campaign. Please pay attention. Okay, so they convinced Trump to make J.D. Vance his VP. Now, this was all a concerted effort, okay, for J.D. Vance, who's simply just biding his time. You see, he wants to be the president, and they all want him to be the president. That's why they got Trump to endorse him. Okay, that's why they took him to Mar-a-Lago. Peter Thiel took him to Mar-a-Lago, introduced him to Trump. Tucker Carlson gets on the phone, tells him, oh, you got to endorse him. And then here comes Elon and David Sachs with this secret lobbying campaign to convince Trump to make him the VP. Do y'all see where this is going? So when I found this out, I said, I was right all along. Because I have been telling you all for the past year that they really want J.D. Vance in charge, and he's worse than Trump. Okay, please pay attention. The reason he's worse than Trump is because, quite frankly, he's a whole lot smarter than Trump. So think about Trump being as nefarious as he is and not even being smart. He's a whole idiot. But think about somebody that dangerous and that wicked and nefarious. But, well, wicked and nefarious mean the same thing. But with that all being said, think about somebody who's intellectually pretty smart. Okay, being that way. All right, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, he's biding his time. The GOP really wants him at the wheel. Okay, so anyway, I find this all so interesting. Oh, and like I said, we know that J.D. Vance is absolutely just as racist, if not more so, than Trump. Okay, Reggie said they're paying him at every turn. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. I appreciate you.
That it is ready to face US troops on the ground, accusing Washington of offering diplomatic solutions while secretly planning a ground assault. Iran's parliamentary speaker saying the enemy openly sends messages of negotiation and dialogue, but secretly is planning a ground attack, adding Iran's men are waiting for American soldiers to enter so they can set them ablaze. Now, US officials have not confirmed whether ground troops will be deployed. There has been mixed messaging coming from the US President Donald Trump about when the war will end. On one hand, Trump has said the conflict will end soon. On the other, he's threatened further action, and the US has reinforced its military strength in the region.
I think the president's been very clear about this, that we're not interested in being in Iran a year down the road, 2 years down the road. We're taking care of business. We're going to be out of there soon, and gas prices are going to come back down.
As the US...
And let me tell you something else about J.D. Vance. See, J.D. Vance is smarter than Trump because Trump doesn't even know that this man is plotting on him. Okay, he likely has no clue. Here's the thing. J.D. Vance is aligned with a bunch of Republicans, okay, that would quickly throw Trump under the bus just to put J.D. in his spot. But also, J.D. Vance is coming across as the person who's against this war. Notice how he's not really saying a whole lot about the war. And when he is, you heard what he just said. He's talking about it ending and not being there so long and all of this. He's not coming off as the warmonger that Trump is. What J.D. Vance is doing, in my opinion, is he's acting as the person that Trump lied and said that he was. Okay, remember when Trump said he was not the person for war, that Kamala was going to be the warmonger and all of this, and sending your sons and daughters to war? And that's exactly what he's now doing. Okay, now, Nice M10K says, what do you think of Marco Rubio in this picture? Thank you for your question, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Marco Rubio is a minion. Okay, do you all not remember when he went in on Trump? Okay, he went in on Trump during a debate. Y'all remember that? At the end of the day, listen, I think that Trump is planning to use Rubio. I think that he's planning to use Marco Rubio for something pertaining to Cuba. That's what I think. Okay, I think that's what's going on here. But he's clearly a minion. Y'all saw those big shoes. Y'all saw those big art shoes that Trump made him wear. Please, okay? And his bid for president is definitely over. All right? Hold on. I think I want to go. Yeah, let's go to this 49-second clip of the debate. Okay? Let's finish watching this video and then we'll go to that next.
Its next move. Its ally Israel today announced it was expanding its ground operation in Lebanon. The latest sign the fighting is not winding down.
In Lebanon, I have just ordered to further expand the security zone, to decisively thwart the threat of invasion and to push anti-tank missile fire away from our border.
It comes as Pakistan hosts foreign ministers from Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey in hope of finding ways to end the conflict. Tehran has publicly rejected the US proposed peace plan, and both Iran and the US did not attend those peace talks today. Iran says that it is ready to face US troops on the ground, accusing Washington of offering diplomatic solutions while secretly planning a ground assault. Iran's parliamentary speaker saying the enemy openly sends messages of negotiation and dialogue, but secretly is planning a ground attack, adding Iran's men are waiting for American soldiers to enter.
Hold on, beloveds. Sorry I let that restart. I was laughing because you all are going in about those shoes. Okay, and then Bunas said clowns wear clown shoes. Okay, but hold on, because somebody did a joke about that. Somebody did a joke about those shoes. I'm gonna pull it up. That's what I was sending to my email. Hold on. This is so ridiculous. Here we go.
Baby, baby, you know it's true. I'm a puppet.
Okay, you have to be a clown to put those big R shoes on. Make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. Let's go to the next clip. He wore those shoes with pride too. Okay, when he had on those shoes that day, he wore them with pride for the student self. Now I want you all to pay attention to this clip, because this is supposedly some CNN investigative journalists who actually traveled to Israel, and they were supposedly detained. Now, you heard in the last clip when they said SATANyahu said that he was going to tighten security and all of that. Okay, so check this out.
Currently detained by the Israeli military. They've told us to sit in our cars and wait. As you can see, one of them is right here. Our detention will expose the settler ideology motivating these soldiers who were operating near an illegal settler outpost in the occupied West Bank.
אין לכם אישור להיות פה, גם בחוק ישראלית. גם בחוק ישראלית. זה לא יישוב עכשיו, זה לא יישוב חוקי, כן? זה לא יישוב חוקי.
אבל זה יהיה יישוב חוקי.
זה יהיה?
כן.
אוקיי.
לאט לאט.
איך אתה יודע את זה?
לאט לאט.
בגלל העזרה שלך, כן?
בוודאי, אני עוזר לעם שלי.
I ask Meir why he has covered his face with a mask to speak with us. Moments later, he returns unmasked.
אני מוכן להקריב את עצמי בשביל העם שלי, בשביל המדינה שלי, בשביל הדגל שלי. אז מי שיבוא להרוג אותי, את הצוות שלי, את כל המדינה שינסה לפגוע ביהודי, הוא ימות. אזרח רגיל שלא עשה כלום, הוא לא ימות, הוא יחייך.
But it's these comments about avenging the death of an Israeli settler that have gotten him kicked out of the Israeli military.
אז זה נקמה, זה נקמה. אתה מדבר על נקמה. ואתה חייל, זה רגיל לעשות נקמה אם אתה חייל?
שמע, בסופו של דבר, אם המדינה לא התייחסה למה שהם עשו, מה אתה מתייחס לעשות?
It was one of multiple comments he and other soldiers made,
יותר לא מצלם אותי או שאני זורק עליו עכשיו איזה?
revealing how they are acting in service of the Israeli settler movement.
משנה, כל אחד פה זה.
אז כל פלסטינאים זה מחבל.
The comments came after Israeli soldiers assaulted CNN photojournalist Cyril Theophilus. The incident prompted the Israeli military's chief of staff to suspend the entire battalion from operational activity, pulling hundreds of soldiers from the West Bank and sending them to training, calling this a grave ethical incident. In a statement, General Eyal Zamir said weapons are to be used solely for the purpose of carrying out the mission, never for revenge.
I was surprised that that was CNN. I'll say that much. Yeah, they assault journalists, Reggie. If they feel like the journalists are going to report things they don't want them to say, they absolutely will. Now, you all may remember I showed you a video last week of how they were doing the journalists over in the UK. They were lying on them and then playing the victim as per usual. And I find it so interesting because, you know, racist people love to say that black people play the victim, but I don't see them calling them the victim because these people love to play the victim in some cases, okay? Now, and I'm going to go to a video of that too momentarily. But with that all being said, here's the thing. Did you all know that those people, Bibi's people, they're related to the Saudis? Okay, that's why that video I showed you of them dancing together, Bibi's people dancing with the Saudis. Yeah, that's because they're all linked together. That's why they're taking the side of Bibi and Trump, because they share ancient ancestral genetics and linguistic ties. Okay, please pay attention. So that's why they're on that side. Now let's go to this clip of Rubio debating Trump.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second.
So cute. Such a cute soundbite. But here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's the guy that
president?
inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say, he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers.
Yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump
years ago.
University.
38 years ago.
Oh, he lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a statute of limitation on lies.
Trump's always lying, and you can tell by anytime he opens his mouth. Okay, let's go to this clip from ABC. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Shocking new images of the vital U.S. radar jet destroyed in an Iranian attack that also injured 15 American service members, 5 seriously. That U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry, its tail nearly severed. That distinctive radar dome that normally rotates atop the aircraft, providing real-time battlefield data on enemy positions and flight operations seen on the ground at the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. A U.S. official confirming to Reuters that an E-3 was damaged in the strike. With 50,000 U.S. service members now in the Middle East, tonight, President Trump warning the U.S. will be, quote, blowing up and completely obliterating Iranian energy infrastructure and drinking water plants if Iran doesn't reopen the critical Strait of Hormuz soon.
Sounds like that backfired because there was a report that Iran blew up Bibi's water facility. Okay, that was a report that I saw this morning. Pensilola says, peace and blessings. All praises be to the Most High. Thank you, beloved. That's right. Same to you. Peace and blessings. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you.
The president also claiming a deal with Iran could come shortly, saying the U.S. is in serious discussions with a new and more reasonable regime to end our military operations in Iran.
How could it be a more reasonable regime when he said previously that Khamenei was just like his father and that he didn't really want him in charge, that he should be able to pick who's in charge? Do y'all remember that? Oh, and by the way, there was a report that came out that Trump supposedly said that they want him to be the new supreme leader. Please.
But Iran insisting there are no direct talks with the U.S., saying the president's 15-point plan includes many requests that are excessive, unrealistic, and illogical. Our Rachel Scott pressing the White House today.
How do you explain that discrepancy between the two?
I think the American people are smart enough not to take the word of a terrorist regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years.
Thousands more U.S. forces arriving in the Middle East, including the USS Tripoli, with 3,500 Marines and sailors as President Trump weighs his next move. The New York Times now reporting hundreds of U.S. Special Operations Forces, including Navy SEALs, are also now in the region and could be used to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, seize Iran's critical oil hub, Karg Island, or to hunt down Iran's highly enriched uranium. Tonight, smoke and flames billowing from this oil refinery in Israel. And as Iran launches attacks around the region, a top Iranian official tonight warning Iran is waiting for the arrival of American soldiers on the ground to rain fire upon them.
It's day 31 of the war with Iran.
To rain fire down upon them. If I was a soldier, you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to go over there. Okay, do y'all hear this? And knowing that they murdered all of those children, let me tell you something. These people are hell-bent on revenge. And who wouldn't be? Okay, who wouldn't be? But let's go to this next clip. It's all nefarious. Trump is a whole idiot. Lord, what has he gotten the world into? Not just the United States. The whole world is suffering from the stupidness of Trump.
Today, a fire at this oil refinery in Israel was sparked by debris from an intercepted Iranian missile. A month in, this war appears to be expanding. The Israelis are already fighting against Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militia group in Lebanon. Now another Iranian proxy, the Houthis in Yemen, has joined the conflict, firing missiles at Israel.
Allahu Akbar!
The Houthis have a history of attacking ships in the Red Sea, a critical waterway for carrying oil, much like the Strait of Hormuz.
I think the Trump administration had underestimated what is happening.
Oded Ilam is the former head of the counter-terrorism division of Mossad, Israel's intelligence service.
You're saying the Trump administration didn't fully understand the Iranian regime and miscalculated how much pain it was willing to take.
Absolutely. They are thinking in terms of win-win, lose-gain. That is not the concept those fundamentalists think. And I think this is why there was a misinterpretation of the Iranians.
A spokesman for Iran's Revolutionary Guards warned that if US ground forces invade his country, they'll be taken captive, dismembered, and end up as, quote, food for sharks in the Persian Gulf. Tony.
Holly Williams for us in the...
Did y'all hear that? Killed, dismembered, and end up as food for sharks. This is all just getting real bad. I feel bad for these soldiers going over there. Lord knows many of them are not going to make it back home. And this is all Trump's fault. We can't even blame Iran. We have to blame the people that started this whole thing, Bibi and Trump.
Preparing for a ground troop presence. And what does that look like?
Margaret, for many years, we've considered options along the southern coast of Iran, seizing islands, seizing small bases, typically raids, and a raid is an operation with a planned withdrawal. You're not going to stay. But some of those islands you could seize and hold. That would have a couple effects. First of all, it would be profoundly humiliating for Iran and would give us great weight in negotiations. The second, the example of Karg Island, which everyone talks about, if you seize Karg Island, you really can shut down the Iranian oil economy completely.
Listen to what he's saying. He's talking about how if you seize Karg Island, you really could shut down Iran's oil production or whatever. Here's the thing. Them being able to get their oil out. Here's the thing. You got to do it first. Do they really think Iran's going to let them do that? And if they were even able to successfully do it, do you know the consequences? Okay, please. They would be catastrophic, I assure you.
And the beauty of seizing it is you're not destroying it. You're retaining it for further use by the global economy and possibly for return to Iran under certain conditions. So all of these things, these are not back of the envelope calculations. These are things we've been working on for many years. And I think we're right to threaten the entire littoral, to hold all these options out there. And I think the president's message is spot on when he talks about all these alternatives.
Are they preparing for a ground troop presence?
This is all just a big mistake. Now let's look at some of the lies that Trump's been telling. Okay, he's told so many. We can't keep up, surely.
Trump says the U.S. has already won the war with Iran.
We've won this. This war has been won.
At the same time, he also said the Iranians are desperate to make a deal.
They are begging to make a deal, not me. They're begging to make a deal.
Democrats are skeptical he's actually negotiating with Iran.
This president is pushing us further and further into a conflict with no foreseeable off-ramp.
But Republicans say he has a plan.
He's been very clear about what those objectives are.
Trump is under pressure from Americans with the down now in correction territory and rising gas prices, something he's been downplaying.
I thought we were going to go down more, and I thought oil prices were going to go up higher than they are now.
More U.S. troops have been deployed to the region. Trump has said he wants the war to be wrapped up within 4 to 6 weeks, and we've just entered the 5th week. President Trump said,
like Reggie said, then why are you still sending troops? Okay, if we already won, what's the need? What's the need? And why are you talking about negotiations and making a deal? You already won. Take what you want and come back. Okay, take over the Strait of Hormuz, but he's not going to do that.
I'm just curious, which country are you living in at this point? Are you working for the Iranians, or are you, because this is a pure propaganda that you're spewing from there. They are not in any way, shape, manner, or form providing any sort of fight back to this. They are losing this war, and you're talking as if that they are winning against the region. That is absolutely false. This is a choice.
Now, this guy is a fool, okay? I don't know where he's getting this from, clearly from Trump. But he thinks that Iran is losing.
choice that Keir Starmer has. This is a choice that he has because I believe, and this is just my opinion, I believe he's weak and he doesn't want to be seen as working with President Trump in this effort, even though it is absolutely in his country's best interest.
Now, when he first was speaking, I thought, because of what he was saying, I thought that he was talking about Trump. When he's talking about somebody being weak and they don't want to look like they're losing and all of this. And then when he said he doesn't want to look weak or whatever, then he mentions Trump as that's not who he's talking about. I said, wait a minute now. Is he crazy or what? Okay, Pensacola said they're all on script. That's clearly what it seems like, because he can't be that naive to think that the U.S. and Bibi are clearly winning.
We rise and we fall together. That's what allies do, Patrick. You know that as well. You start talking about how America can't afford this. They couldn't afford Biden, your guy, for the last 4 years. On net, Americans are up $4,000 on net since President Trump took over. That's because of regulatory burdens reduced. That's because of more oil flow. That's because of more permitting. And most importantly, it's because of the tax cuts that we saw. It's a lesson to the UK. Prosperity comes when there's less government in the way, not how Patrick is talking about it.
Well, listen, first off, God bless you. I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I proudly live. All right. And
I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm from Detroit, man.
So,
that's cool.
buddy, but I'm not questioning.
I want you to pay attention to how angry this guy is. How angry this guy is. Now, if we were actually winning the war, he would not be so upset. He would not have so much disdain. He's barely let this man get a word in edgewise. He's clearly pressed.
And I'm not questioning your motives, so don't question mine. Because I'm a proud American. But I call it like I see it. And like I see it is, the reason why other countries aren't standing with us in this fight is because of war of choice. Because we didn't consult them before we went in there 30 days ago. Because we've killed thousands of Iranians. Our military is doing a phenomenal job over there. But we've lost 13 troops. So again, when you do wars without having allies in the fight, and then once they do things like cut off the Strait of Hormuz, then first off, I didn't cut you off when you cut me, so don't cut me off. Am I clear? I agree that we need a limited government, but you don't have a limited government when you start no new wars. You don't have a limited government when you're jacking up tariff taxes.
I don't think this is a war. I think this is a conflict, and I think it's very limited in strike and duration.
This idiot just said he doesn't think this is a war. He thinks it's a conflict. I'm sorry. What? Do y'all hear this? Yes, it's the arrogance of it, Pensacola. All of these idiots are arrogant and they're narcissists. And they won't admit that they're losing, but they know that they are. And that's why he's so pressed. And he's really trying to trigger this guy who's trying to talk to him with sense. Okay, that's what he's doing. These people are complete idiots.
All right, so you got to let him finish.
We have 10,000 troops going over into the Middle East, including Marines that are in the USS Tripoli that just got into the region. You have my old unit, the 82nd Airborne Division, going over there. So those of us who have seen war don't want to see unnecessary wars. It is the lesson learned from the Vietnam War. So in Vietnam, which, by the way, yesterday in America, by the way, we had Vietnam War Appreciation Day. I'm named after a Vietnam veteran who gave the ultimate sacrifice. My two uncles served in Vietnam. My father served in Vietnam. The lesson there that we learned is called the POW Doctrine. That we have a clear mission. They use overwhelming force to accomplish that mission. I just have a clear exit strategy. The mission has been.
Okay, this was absolutely. Look at Wavy though said obtuse as hell, and then Reggie says he's insidiously obtuse. I love how y'all are using my talking points. Y'all are hilarious. Or my catchphrases. Gonna have to put that on some t-shirts. Okay? Absolutely. That's exactly what he is. He sounds like a whole fool. Okay, please make it make sense. Now let's go to this video of this guy giving his thoughts on the Pentagon's announcement weeks ago. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Y'all are something else. That's why I love my royals. Y'all are a hot mess.
Pentagon announced that they're planning for a weeks-long offensive in Iran, ground troop offensive in Iran. And I want you guys to get ready for the drone videos you are going to have to see. Because it is one thing when you're hearing out a Russian soldier crying out in a language you don't understand with an accent that isn't yours. But when it's Timmy from Arkansas crying out because he got his leg blown off, because Donald Trump sent him to Tehran to do some bullshit on Israel and Iran and his behalf is going to be insanity. And I want you guys to also get ready for some of the worst post-traumatic stress disorder that some of these troops that you are going to have to live with are going to come home with. These are going to be your fathers, your mothers, your sons that you are going to have to come home that can no longer be around drones. You know where they use drones? In crowds. You know where they use drones? At sports games. You know what sounds a lot like a drone? A mosquito. And I want you guys to know that this needs to never leave your minds. You guys need to think about this every day about how he is going to send ground troops for a land offensive in one of the most mountainous regions in the height and midst of drone warfare for a war that he promised he would not run at. He promised that he would not go. And now he's going to send your sons. He's going to send your daughters. He's going to send your dad, your uncle, your best friend, your brother to go die. And I want you guys to think about this when you go to the polls, because it's not going to be Barron Trump that comes home in a wheelchair. It's going to be your son who comes home in a wheelchair. It is not going to be Nancy Pelosi's daughter who's going to war. It's going to be yours. It's not going to be any of the people crying from the high heavens. It's not going to be Pete Hegseth. It's going to be you. And then when you're in society, you're going to be the one who has to take care of your daughter. You are going to be the one who has to live with.
That's right. And it's all just nefarious. Now, with that all being said, speaking of their sons and daughters not being sent off to war, here's what Steve Bannon said. Turf him out tomorrow. Steve Bannon calls to deport Yair, I think his name is Yair, it's spelled Y-A-I-R. This is Netanyahu's son. He is basically saying, send Netanyahu and Barrett, send Trump and Netanyahu's sons over there to the war. Okay, the call of the children of world leaders and powerful figures, call on them to enlist right now. Former White House advisor and key figure in the MAGA movement, Steve Bannon, has called on the United States Department of Homeland Security to deport Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's son and send him to fight in Iran. I wish they would. I'd love to see it. He says, Netanyahu's kid down in Miami, turf him out now. Okay, where's DHS when you need him? Get him back there. Okay, put a uniform on him and let's have him in the first wave. Okay, so neither Yair nor Avner Netanyahu, the prime minister's second son, has served in the IDF during the war. However, Avner maintains a much lower profile than his brother, who has faced scrutiny for several controversies and outspoken views. Okay, so I'm going to go to this clip, and I'm going to use, I don't need an overlay because there's music in the background, so I'm just going to go to this clip. Okay, of Bannon. I can't believe Bannon's coming out and saying this. I thought him and Trump were like so tight. Clearly he's upset about the war.
Let's have the Arabs. I want Arabs. I want UAE, MBZ, who's the best they got over there, and he's got a real army. It's not huge, but they actually know how to fight. Karg Island. There's your objective. Go. And throw in a couple of Qatar princes. Listen, throw the Saudi princes in there too. Get them out of London, get them out of the casinos and whorehouses in London, and get them back to the Gulf. Get him here. Netanyahu's kid down in Miami, turf him out tomorrow. Where's DHS? We need him. Get him, throw him out, get him back there. Put a uniform on him. Let's.
Okay. Yeah, that would be so great. Now, and they also, people online have also been telling MAGA to go ahead and join. Okay, since they're all here for it, saying Trump's doing the right thing. Okay, and then some of these older MAGA, you know, like in their like 40, around that 35, 40, they were saying stuff like, oh, well, you know, I would join, but the age requirement. Well, you know, Keg's breath has changed the requirement to 42. So y'all can go right on ahead and join. Okay, that's what y'all can do. But are they going to? Absolutely not. Okay, that's what they're not going to do. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, with that all being said, we're about to get to the good part in a minute. But listen to this. I found this all so nefarious. Do you all know Paula White? the one that was saying, angels from Africa, African angels coming down. Remember her, that fool, talking about the angels from Africa are coming to protect Trump? Y'all see, I got the angels from Africa right here on my thumbnail, just for the occasion, okay? Doesn't look like they're coming to protect Trump, all right? Please pay attention. Now, and in case you didn't notice this in the thumbnail, these are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And there you see demons in the background, okay? This is spiritual warfare, like I've told you all weeks ago, but hold on. Let's go to this next clip. And then, can you play her prayer? Oh, you want me to play her prayer? Hold on, I might pull it up.
Is disturbing. Donald Trump's White House spiritual advisor, Paula White, says that Christians in America should start donating 10% of their income to Israel to honor God. Take a look at this.
Let's receive God's tithe and his offering. I believe that it's so important to honor God with his tithe. That's the first 10th of your gross income.
Yeah, this babbling lunatic right here is one of the closest advisors to Donald Trump. And it's one of the main reasons why religion is in the White House, specifically Christian nationalism dominating U.S. politics. Christian Zionism is a danger to society. It is the reason why we see this endless war in Iran. It is the reason why millions of people could die if Donald Trump gets his way and starts World War III.
A darn shame, okay? So sad. This is absolutely nefarious. Now, with that all being said, y'all asked for it, so here it is. She really wants to give 10% of their money to Bibi and them? She's got to be crazy. Okay, she's got to be absolutely nefarious. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rite. Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be.
This woman is out of her mind, okay? I want you all to pay attention. And here's the saddest part of it all. She has many people who almost look like me that follow her. Now, I'm convinced they have to be Africans because I know darn well there's no Black Americans following this lady, okay? And falling for the BS. Now, let me see if I have that video because it was all so sad. Okay, when I saw these Black folk and they look Black, but she's out there, she's up there acting like she's making them fall out. Okay? Oh, so crazy. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please. Here it is right here. I knew I had the clip. Now, y'all check this out. Hold on. Like they used to say in the old days, where do you get a load of this? Ha! OG Patrice said, child, please. I know that's right. Okay. Is she serious? Ah, look at it. They need to sit down.
Now, in the name of Jesus, and fire, 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 fire.
Y'all heard that? Did y'all hear that? Okay, I am so done. Vince, I am. Thank you for joining, beloved. Listen, Vince, I think those are your people, not mine. Okay, that lady's running game on. Vince, I am said, OMG, what are the actual F? Reggie said, because Keisha, Brianna, Nikki, and Angie ain't having it. Okay? Like, I wish I would, honey. But hold on, I want you all to see something else. Hold on, let me just stop the share because I don't want to show y'all the wrong thing and get in trouble. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Now, hold on. Y'all have got to see this. This is what Trump posted. First of all, let's go to what Trump posted on Truth Social this morning. Trump is so full of crap. He'll sit there and say that, oh, we're negotiating. Oh, it's almost over and all of this. But then go right back to his BS. Like he just is all over the place. Hold on, here we go. Now, this is what he posted this morning. He loves posting things like this, but then when the shoe's on the other foot, they have all kind of convenient excuses. Oh, the laundry room caught fire. Oh, there was no friendly fire. It just fell out of the sky. Okay? Find it all interesting, but hold on. Now, I want you all to see how one of Bibi's people just flat out lied and then played the victim. Hold on, let me just take this off the screen for just a second until I find what I'm looking for. I just want you to see how low down this is. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a rabbi. I want you all to pay attention. And let's not forget what the chief rabbi said about Black people, likened us to monkeys. I reported that to you all in 2020. But hold on and check this out. This is another rabbi, and look at what he does. Just flat out lying on this man and playing the victim after he started mess. Trying to get the man locked up just like they did over there in the UK when they lied on those journalists and then started playing the victim, talking about, oh, they fear for their lives. It's the same old thing. This is their script. Because you see, this man does the same thing. Please pay attention.
Hi, everybody. I have no problem saying it.
Okay,
Rabbi
say your name.
Shmuley.
Say your name.
I'm Salvo, baby. I have no problem saying
What's your
it.
phone number? Say it
Why
all.
would I give a
Say it
Zionist?
all.
Why
Say it
would I
all.
give
Say it all. Say it all. Say it
Zionist
all.
pig? Relax. Why would I give a
Excuse me.
Why would I
Excuse
give?
me. Excuse me. Officer, this man is attacking me.
I have it on video.
Right now.
I have it on
Came over
video.
to me, I have it on video.
I have it on
He's attacking
video.
me as a Jew. It's a hate crime. He's threatening me.
I called him a Zionist.
He came over to me and I filmed the whole thing. I'm a very well-known rabbi.
I just talked.
Now, do you see how quickly he lied? And in fact, he confronted this man. He walked over to him. But he sat there and lied because he didn't like what the man called him and then said the man's threatening him and attacking him. Let's continue.
He is threatening my life.
No, I
and
didn't.
He has to be arrested, please.
I have it on video.
Please,
No, I didn't.
he has to be arrested.
They know who you are, bro.
Please, sir, he has to be arrested.
Rabbi
Debbie,
Shmuley,
Debbie, get the whole thing.
what
Get the
happened
whole
to
thing.
dialogue?
Let's see if the
What happened to
NYPD
dialogue,
takes
Rabbi
this hate
Shmuley?
crime
Is this your
seriously.
husband? You let him in the street acting such a fool every time, huh?
Debbie, bring it here. This is what happened to me at the Fontainebleau Hotel. I won't put up with it.
Rabbi
This
Shmuley,
man
why are
is
you
threatening
lying?
me. He is harassing
Rabbi
me.
Shmuley,
He's
why are you
guilty of a hate
lying?
crime. And now let's see if the NYPD
Rabbi
are going to do anything.
Hate crime.
Officer, I was doing a video about it's about anti-Semitism.
I'm doing
This
a
play.
video
We're in
too.
the middle of an intermission. This man came over,
I was at the play
attacked
too.
me, harassed me. He already called us fucking Jews upstairs. I have a woman who
No, I
witnessed
didn't.
it. You called
I'm
us
with my-
fucking Jews
I'm
as
with
you
my
left,
wife over there.
and he just attacked me.
I
My
have
name
it
is
on
Rabbi
video.
Shmuley Botelis, he will tell you.
They know who you are, Rabbi Shmuley. They know who you are, Rabbi
And
Shmuley.
he attacked me, and this is a hate crime.
You're making a scene, Rabbi
This is
Shmuley.
he attacked me, and this is a hate crime. Now, why did you walk over to me? Tell him. Why did you walk over to me? What did you say? Why did you walk over to me? What did you say?
I said you're a Zionist.
No, you said I'm an effing Zionist. You started attacking me. You threatened my safety. You are threatening my safety. You invaded my personal space.
Pig.
I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to say he's a Zionist pig. I'm allowed to say.
My name is Shakur. I'll give you all my identity, but I want him to separate.
Why do you escalate, Rev?
So let me get this straight. He thinks that they can call people monkeys, but somebody can't call him a pig? Is that what he seems to think? Yeah, it is. The hypocrisy.
Look at this, sir. Officer, Jews have to be safe in New York City.
Sir,
we have to be allowed to be
safe.
Sir, Jews cannot be attacked because they wear a kippah. If someone's black and they're attacked, that's racism. If someone wears a kippah and he's attacked by an anti-Semite like that, that is anti-Semitism.
Clearly playing the victim, and don't bring black people in and keep our names out of your mouth. Okay, you don't even like black people. Miss us with
people are making it impossible for Jews to live in New York City. They're making it impossible to live in New York City. Our lives are being, and this whole play is about Raoul Dahl. The whole play is about anti-Semitism. The whole play is about anti-Semitism. Correct. This man just came over to me and attacked me, and he's at the play calling Jews fucking Jews on the inside. Okay? And I have it all. I'm a well-known professor of Israel. That's why he attacked me. He threatened me. It's all on video.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to how he lies and says it's all on video, when there's nothing on video about that man attacking him or threatening him, because that's not what even happened. And then he tells the officer that his wife recorded it, just trying to convince the officer, but he never shows a recording. He never gets his wife's phone and shows it to the officer because he's a darn lie. And he's just someone who's basically just such a liar, okay, blatantly.
Thank God you were driving by. Jews cannot live. They're making it impossible for us Jews to live in New York City. They're making it impossible for us to wear a kippah. They're making it impossible for us to feel safe. What happened? I was here doing a video about this incredible play. We have to go back in a minute because it's the intermission. The play is about anti-Semitism. This man came over to me. It's all on video. My wife taped the whole thing. And he said, you fucking Zionist pig. You fucking Zionist pig. It's fucking Rabbi Shmuley, et cetera, et cetera. He got right in my face. And then, thank God, you came over, and I said, this is a hate crime. He cannot walk over to a black woman and say, you just, if he was Klan and calling people black, he would be arrested. We Jews deserve the same protections. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you have more protections. Please stop calling black people's names. This is really ticking me off. Because first of all, nobody gives a darn if somebody calls us slurs. Nobody cares if somebody calls us the N-word. Okay? But he thinks that man can't call him a pig. And he's trying to liken that to us and our struggle. Like, get the F out of here with the BS.
We Jews deserve the same protections as any endangered minority. Enough is enough.
They do have protections. You can't even talk
Enough is
about
enough. Now, do you work here at the theater? And when are they restarting it? Can you imagine the whole play is about anti-Semitism, and this man is a disgusting, vile anti-Semite who threatened me, and he should be arrested.
It's the one who's vile, sitting there lying like a dog.
That camera.
I find this all so interesting. This is all crazy. At the end of the day, just lying. Okay, just sitting there blatantly lying. Hold on. Let me show y'all something. Like, so everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I wanted to show you all what someone posted about the definition of anti-Semitism. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. Look at this. And it's no lies detected. It is no lies detected. Okay, straight up identity theft. Like you said, Pensilola. Facts. Okay, so look at this. It says how to tell if you're anti-Semitic. Oppose GENO side, okay? Oppose Epstein pedos. Oppose Iran war. Oppose Goy label, oppose their lobby, oppose them, period. Money to them, oppose that. Like say something about not giving them money and oppose them deleting children, okay? Now that's what someone posted. And I agree, because if you say any of those things, that's exactly what they're going to label you as. Okay, that's exactly the label that you will get. Now, let's continue, because here's the thing. Hold on, let me go to one more post, and then we're going to talk about the spiritual side of all this. Hold on. Here we go. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Aqua Girl Rising said, how is that legal? Well, I'd like to know, too. I don't guess you need laws when you're running stuff.
States threatening to set fire to American troops if they launch a ground invasion. While peace talks between the warring nations could reportedly happen this week, the conflict isn't letting up.
Damaged beyond repair. Images which appear to show a US military surveillance aircraft worth hundreds of millions of dollars ripped apart after an Iranian attack at a base in Saudi Arabia. The human cost of the war rising too. Grief and anger in Lebanon at the funeral of 3 journalists killed in a targeted Israeli strike. Israel had accused one of being a Hezbollah terrorist, sharing this image of Ali Shoab in a military uniform. The IDF later admitting it was photoshopped, as Iran is smashed from the air.
Now, did you hear that? Said the IDF, that's Bibi's military, said that it was Photoshopped. So they flat out lied. Okay, just a bunch of liars who lie. Just like Trump. No wonder they all get along so grand.
The regime is warning the United States against launching a ground invasion. The country's parliamentary speaker declaring Iranian forces are waiting for American troops, threatening to set them on fire. American soldiers will become good prey for the sharks of the Persian Gulf, this military spokesman says. More mixed messages as Donald Trump claims the regime will loosen its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz within hours.
They gave us, I think out of a sign of respect, 20 boats of oil, big boats of oil.
While de-escalation, let alone a ceasefire, seems out of reach, diplomatic efforts are persisting. Foreign ministers from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt meeting in a bid to contain the conflict.
Pakistan will be honored to host and facilitate meaningful talks between the two sides in coming days. We negotiate with them and then we always have to blow them up.
The US president now says he's confident there's been regime change in Iran. What hasn't changed is their ability to inflict damage. John Paul.
Okay, now let me just tell you all something. Like I said, I was doing my research last night and something hit me. What I thought about was this. You all know they shot up that school on the first day of the war, okay? In what was clearly a surprise attack because Trump was recently, right before that, in talks of negotiations with them about coming to a new deal. With that all being said, why do you all think they shot the school up? Not just because those were the children of the soldiers, but also because of this. To pay attention. I want you all to pay attention because that right there, if you remember, I reported that to you all. That happened on February the 12th. That happened on February the 12th. But not only did they, and here's the thing, remember, someone asked me, why did Iran even have a statue of Baal? That's what I was wondering. So when I did my research, come to find out, they didn't. They didn't have a statue of Baal erected, okay, in their country. They made the statue just so they could burn it symbolically. Okay, that's what it was, symbolically. They also had pictures of Trump and SATANyahu, and they had pictures of coffins with flags draped on top of them. Okay, this was all symbolic stuff that they put out there. That's why they got so mad, and that's why they decided to bomb that school. Okay, because they wanted to sacrifice the soldiers' children to Baal. That's what they did. They wanted to sacrifice those soldiers' children to Baal. Okay, because they were mad about what they did, and also because they really wanted to hit them where it hurt. So that was more child sacrifices, okay, because that's what they do. Okay, that's in the Bible. The practice of child sacrifice associated with deities like Baal and Molech in ancient Canaanite and Carthaginian cultures was motivated by the belief that offering the ultimate sacrifice would secure divine favor, particularly in times of crisis. The core reasons for this practice includes Baal was a prominent fertility god of people who believed to control storms. Sacrifices, especially during transitional times like famine or drought, were thought to guarantee a good harvest and general fertility and abundance in the community. In some of the cultural beliefs, the sacrifice was an exchange or a substitution with supernatural beings. Infants were considered effective offerings, potentially because they were seen as having a closer connection to the spiritual world. Think about the Epstein files and those babies and how that girl said she was a human incubator. Please pay attention. Okay, now with that all being said, their sacrifice was meant to prevent more powerful humans from being taken. See, this was their sacrifice for the war, so they could win the war. That's what that was. They gave a sacrifice to Baal so they could be victorious in this war. But as you can see, it's not working. Okay, it's not working. They say they do this in times of desperation and in times of crisis. Okay, please pay attention. Historical and classical sources suggest that such sacrifices become particularly important during times of extreme danger or strife for the community, such as sieges or plagues, as a desperate measure for salvation. Okay? Offering one's child was considered the greatest possible sacrifice, a powerful play of extreme devotion to the gods to invoke their strongest favor. I want y'all to think about that. Now, within the biblical narrative, the practice was vehemently condemned as an abomination to the Israelites, condemned as an abomination that the Israelites were strictly warned against adopting from their neighbors. So they were basically told not to do this in the Bible. Now, with that all being said, we know who the real Israelites are. Okay, we know who the real Israelites are, with that all being said. So I find it all interesting. But hold on. Now, let's get into the spiritual side of all of this.
Using AI image analysis and facial recognition technology suggested that Donald's right eye appeared less active or unbalanced.
Hold on. Let me do something real quick, beloveds. Let me share this from, hold on, let me see here. Hold on, let me see if I can share this another way so I can, here it is. Okay, let me share it this way so I can pause it.
AI image analysis and facial recognition technology suggested that Donald's right eye appeared less active or unbalanced compared to the left eye, which could indicate a condition such as lazy eye or some sort of visual impairment. But surprises do not stop here with just a lazy eye problem, but using our current technology, while you can zoom in deeper to see more details and compare it with a normal human eye anatomy using AI analysis. Results confirm that his right eye pupil is not in the normal circular shape, and even not centered. That reminds me with Hadith mentions that the Antichrist's right eye looks like a spoiled grape, as the grape loses its round shape when it gets spoiled.
Now, you heard what he said, right? You heard what he said. Now, that's in his religious text. But here's what it says in the King James Version. In Zechariah 11:17, it says, "Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean, dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened." I find it all interesting, but let's continue. Okay, now what did y'all think about
Then
that?
comes the moment when Donald Trump got shot and stayed alive. This is like Revelation 13:3. One of the heads of the beast looked like as if it had been wounded and killed, but the death wound was healed. All the people in the world were amazed, and they all followed the beast. Remember the fight moment? Donald Trump right away became a president, and he probably wouldn't have been without this move. Also, other political figures began framing the global events in terms of biblical prophecy. It was reported in military circles that discussions about Iran war started referencing Armageddon, the final battle described in the book of Revelation. And reports that soldiers in multiple US bases were told that the confrontation with Iran is part of God's plan. Within these speeches which soldiers were given, Donald Trump himself was described by some of the commanders as anointed by Jesus. That phrase is not a political language, it's a theological term. In Christian tradition, the anointed one is an English term that comes from the Hebrew word Moshiach, meaning Christ or Messiah, in Arabic, Masih. So in Christianity, people believe that Jesus is God, and if he anointed Trump, that makes Trump the Messiah, the Christ of those who claim he is.
Now, I want you all to pay attention, because I already told you all about this whole Christianity thing that Keg's Breath is pushing on the military. I told you all weeks ago how they said this is the Battle of Armageddon that's supposed to bring about the return of Jesus. No, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to script this. They're trying to script the prophecy in the Bible. And the reason that they're doing this is because they want to determine the outcome. You see, the Bible tells us how this all turns out, okay, for the Antichrist and the beast, okay, but they want to change the narrative, okay, they want to change the ending, so they're rewriting this. They're trying to play it out. I mean, it's very well scripted, okay, but hold on, because it gets even better. It gets even better. I want you all to think about how recently Trump is supposed to have his name put on U.S. currency. Did I tell you all this? Once in the chat if I told you all this, because I was supposed to tell you all. I can't remember if I did. But Trump is having his signature put on money. Did I tell you all this? Yes or no? Once if yes. And I'm going to tell you why that's interesting. Okay, Duranda says, I did tell you all that. Reggie says, no. Reggie, I think you may have missed it, beloved. Okay, so now with that all been said, he's putting his signature on money. So John 5:43, let's go to that scripture. John 5:3, it says, I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. That's clearly Trump. Okay, that's clearly Trump. He's putting his signature on money. Okay, and Trump has said, that he was the Messiah. He also said that he was the king of the youth. Hold on. Now listen to this. This is where it really gets good. Okay, Trap God said the Semites seem to be anti-Hamitic. Absolutely seems to be, beloved. Thank you for insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But now listen to this. Revelation 6:2. It reads, and I saw and behold a white horse. Okay, pay attention, because that's why I have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in the thumbnail. Okay, and for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, you'll know that I did a thorough breakdown about what that actually means, the 4 horses of the apocalypse. Now, and I saw and behold a white horse, and he sat on him, that sat on him had a bow and a crown, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay, so this is what Trump is doing, trying to win this war with Iran. Now, that all being said, Trump was absolutely given a crown. If you remember, okay, he received a crown. Hold on, do I have a picture of it? Well, let's just go to this because he received 2 crowns. Okay, actually, he got one from Bibi's people. Let's go to the little ceremony they had for him when they gave him this crown.
President Trump has broken so many conventions to the surprise of people, and then they figure out, oh, well, maybe, he was right after all. So we decided to break a convention too, or create a new one, and that is to award the Israel Prize, which in almost our 80 years, we've never awarded it to a non-Israeli. And we're going to award it this year to President Trump. This was announced formally over lunch by our Minister of Education, who's responsible for the Israel Prize. It's going to be awarded to President Donald J. Trump for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people. I have to say that this reflects the overwhelming sentiment of Israelis across the spectrum. They appreciate what you've done to help Israel and to help our common battle against the terrorists and those who would destroy our civilization.
You've been a great friend, and I've been a great friend to you and to Israel, and it's been my honor. And the award that I was given was really surprising and very much appreciated.
We decorate the Torah with a crown, a beautiful crown to show how precious the Torah is.
That's exactly it.
What's it say on it? What's it say?
In honor of our dear Rabbi, the leader of the generation.
Beautiful. The Torah has a crown.
Okay.
Give thanks.
Give thanks to Hashem, for his work is good, his kindness endures forever. Presented to President Donald J. Trump for his extraordinary and heroic efforts, I like that very much, to help the state of Israel and the Jewish people. He and his family should be blessed eternally. From the Israel Heritage Foundation, July 10th, 2023. I want to thank you, Rabbi. That's all.
And it says in small print, and you must win and be the president again. You must win.
You must
going to
win.
Listen,
Let me put it this way. If we don't win, Israel's in big trouble. I really mean
you're
it.
going to win.
I mean it. Israel's in big trouble.
No, you're going to win.
Thank you very much.
We'll do an encore, and that way you'll win.
What is this, a test? The rabbis give me a test. This sucker is heavy.
It's about 100 pounds.
You know, it's
Give it to the president.
And no men in women's sports. Do we have
Our next president of the United States.
That's not the only people that gave Trump a crown. Also, South Korea also gave Trump a crown. I find that all interesting. And also, I looked up the meaning of Trump's name, Donald. Donald means a world ruler or a proud chief. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. It means a proud ruler, a world leader, or a proud chief. But also, pay attention. They have called Trump the Prince of Peace. Let's go to it. I showed you all this a week or so ago. Okay? This is what they gave Trump, or what they said when they gave Trump that crown. You see right here, the Israel Foundation, with profound gratitude, presents this Covenant of Peace Award to the Prince of Peace. Okay, a Covenant of Peace Award to the Prince of Peace, President Donald J. Trump. Who do we call the Prince of Peace? Who do we call the Prince of Peace? Jesus. Is Trump Jesus? Is he Jesus? No, he is not. He is a false prophet. So that makes him the Antichrist as far as I'm concerned. But hold on. Pay attention. It said that he made a covenant, like a peace treaty, which is why they called him the Prince of Peace. Here's where it gets real good, folks. Here's where it gets real good. And, you know, I have to thank myself for my knowledge of the Bible and scripture. Y'all know I used to be a whole ordained minister, but please pay attention. Here's what it says. And so, according to many Christian eschatological interpretations of biblical prophecy, specifically Daniel 9:27, the Antichrist is believed to make a 7-year covenant or peace treaty with Israel at the start of the tribulation. The treaty is expected to promise security, but the Antichrist will break it after 3.5 years. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. At the end of the day, this is prophecy. But the bottom line is they're trying to script it so they can make it end the way they want it to. But it's not going to happen. You see, when God says it, it's already done. And that's that. And the devils don't get to come back and rewrite the scripture. Okay? That's what they don't get to do. So please pay attention. All right, I want y'all to pay attention. This is some serious stuff, and we're in deep. Okay? We're in deep. So with that all being said, how long is this going to last? When did they give him that Prince of Peace award? Oh, the day before my birthday, February the 26th of 2024. He's going to break the covenant after 3.5 years. This is the second year. This is the second year because we already passed February 26th of this year. So 1.5 years, he's going to break it. Please pay attention. Okay, Michael says, Queen, Donald Trump is not in Christ. You mean Christ? He's the Antichrist. That's who he is. That's who he is. He's the Antichrist. In my opinion, he has that energy. And like I told you all, the Antichrist is not necessarily just one person. It's an energy, a spirit that takes over someone. And Donald Trump absolutely has it. Everything fits together. Please pay attention. Oh, that's right. He is the devil incarnate. Okay, he is the devil incarnate. Okay, with that all being said, thank you, beloved. With that all being said, I think we know what's going on here. Okay, I think we now can see better why Cat's Breath has been pushing this whole Christian nationalist movement within the military. I think we know why the military leaders have been telling the soldiers, embedding it in their heads, oh, that this is the Battle of Armageddon. This has been prophesied by God. This is how it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to go fight this battle because this is going to bring back the return of Jesus. Yeah, that's what they've been telling them. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. The lies and the manipulation of scripture is absolutely nefarious. Okay? And then they try to justify their religious violence. Hold on. Let's go to this clip right here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on just a second. Here we go. This is a video of this man saying, Roddy said, very disappointed in South Korean leadership. I'm not. I expect nothing different from them. You see, here's the thing you have to realize, beloved. South Korea does not get along with North Korea. Okay, even though they're related. South Korea does not get along with North Korea. North Korea is not an ally to the U.S. So it would make sense to me that South Korea is. Because they're going to go against North Korea.
As more bodies stack up in this war with Iran, the volume of religious language gets louder. Have you noticed this? As the violence escalates, so do the claims that God is behind it. Now, let me just give you one example. 5 days after a school full of kids in Iran was bombed, Christian pastors were in the Oval Office laying hands on Trump and praying in Jesus' name. Now, we know this pattern. Empire loves religion because religion can make violence sound righteous. It makes domination sound holy. It makes war sound just. Empire hides itself in religion so you believe it's righteous, so you won't question what it produces. It needs to call it God's will so no one has to reckon with the cost. That's why empires use the name of Jesus, not just to persuade the crowd, but to quiet the conscience. But let me be clear. When bombs fall on children and leaders step in front of cameras to ask God to bless it, that is not faith. That is cover.
Pay attention to what he's saying, because that's exactly what the Pope said. Pope Leo said himself that God does not bless, okay, or does not answer the prayers of those who cause for war and violence. He rejects them.
Is religion being used to launder violence, to dress it up, to clean it up, to make it easier to live with? And Jesus has a word for this. When he walked into the temple, he said, "You've made this a den of robbers."
Think about it. Trump is definitely a den of robbers, his whole administration. Okay, think about Cash Patel lying, going around spending taxpayer money, flying around in that private jet. Okay, when it's supposed to be used for something appropriate, right? Flying around to pick up his country singing girlfriend, Trump, Grifton, him and his sons, him and Jared Kushner, okay, making these shady backdoor deals that's going to benefit them, stealing Venezuelan oil, selling it, and putting the money in his own bank account. Not being transparent about how much money he's even collected.
This isn't just wrongdoing. This is a system hiding wrongdoing, a sanctuary for injustice. And when faith becomes the soundtrack for empire, Jesus doesn't bless it. He doesn't stand beside it. He doesn't pose for a photo op. He flips tables. I'm not against praying for leaders, but there are moments when another prayer circle is not faithfulness, but avoidance. There are moments when the right word is not amen, but enough. The prophets didn't bless kings. They confronted them. So let me say this plainly. Paula White, Robert Jeffress, Greg Laurie, Jensen Franklin, using the name of Jesus to cover violence, protect power, and burden the vulnerable, that is taking God's name in vain. That is not faith. That is oppression. And when Jesus saw it, he didn't whisper a prayer. He made a scene. He turned tables. Because sometimes the most spiritual act is not protecting the system, but exposing it.
Exactly. I want y'all to pay attention, because those of you who follow the spiritual channel, again, you all know that I told you about when Jesus came into the temple and flipped the tables, okay, because Jesus was upset. All right, please pay attention. Now, Reggie says when they played in God's house and named Jesus, Jesus went off, literally, exactly. But hold on, we're almost done. I'm going to play this last clip, and I will be back later, beloveds. I will be back later. But let's check this out, because Mel Gibson has a new movie coming out. Y'all remember The Passion of the Christ? How many of you saw that movie? Once in the chat, if you saw the movie, I think it came out in 2005, The Passion of the Christ. Michael M. says, our president was put here to expose the corruption of the United States. Honey, your president is the corruption of the United States, beloved. Okay, he is the corruption of the United States. Please pay attention. With that all being said, let's go to this, because Mel Gibson has another movie coming out. Okay, and this is like part 2, I would imagine, for Passion of the Christ. Now, I'm going to put an overlay on this so I don't have any copyright issues. But please pay attention. This is coming out in 2027. Oh, I don't even need an overlay because I forgot. I have music playing.
A council of bishops made a decision. They gathered in a city called Laodicea. They reviewed a list of texts that early Christians had been reading for centuries. Texts that described Jesus in terms so vast, so cosmically terrifying, that ordinary people weren't supposed to sit with them unsupervised. They voted, and those books were banned, copies were hunted down, burned, and the portrait of Jesus inside them, a portrait that the earliest believers accepted as scripture, was erased from Western Christianity almost completely. Almost. Because high in the mountains of Ethiopia, a group of monks kept copying. They copied through war. They copied through invasion. They copied through centuries of isolation. They had no idea that the rest of the world had thrown away what they were preserving. They just believed it was true, so they kept going. And what they preserved describes a Jesus that most Christians today have never encountered. Not the soft-eyed figure of Renaissance painting, not the gentle shepherd of Sunday school, a being whose face blazes brighter than 1,000 suns, whose voice commands obedience from angels and demons across every realm of existence, in whose presence, according to texts nearly 2,000 years old, time and space themselves bend. Mel Gibson has read these texts, and in 2027, he is putting that Jesus on the biggest screens in the world. This is the story of what was buried, who kept it alive, and why it is about to change everything you think you know about this man. You have to start in 2004, because without 2004, nothing that comes next makes sense. Mel Gibson made a film that every studio in Hollywood refused to touch. He financed it himself, mortgaged his own future on it, shot the entire thing in Aramaic, Latin, and Hebrew, languages that hadn't been spoken in that context for 2,000 years. No concessions to commercial pressure, no softening of what the story actually contained. The Passion of the Christ grossed over $600 million worldwide. It became the highest-grossing R-rated film in American history, a record it held for nearly 20 years. The people who said it would ruin him were wrong. The people who said audiences didn't want unfiltered religious cinema were wrong. But Gibson never claimed the story was complete. From the beginning, he said publicly, The Passion only told the first half. It ended at the tomb. What happened next? What really happened? In every realm, not just in Jerusalem. That story had never been told. He spent the next 2 decades trying to tell it. In interviews over the years, he revealed he had developed 2 scripts. One was traditional, structured, close to what audiences would expect. The other, he said on the Joe Rogan Experience, was like an acid trip, a journey through multiple realms, through hell, through angelic hierarchies, across dimensions of reality that don't operate on human time. Most people heard that and assumed he was being dramatic. He wasn't. He was describing, almost word for word, what the Ethiopian Bible has always said happened. The Resurrection of the Christ. Part 1 is not a rumor. It is currently filming at Cinecittà Studios in Rome. $100 million budget. Lionsgate distribution. Part 1 on Good Friday, 2027. Part 2 on Ascension Day, 40 days later. Even the release calendar is a theological statement. The scripts are classified. At the American film market, international buyers were told they could not read them before committing to distribution deals. In an industry built on pitch decks and screeners, Gibson asked the most powerful buyers in global film,
Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Hold on. Let me read some of these comments. Pensilola said the Apocrypha was removed. Right. The Apocrypha was definitely removed. I've read some of that, as well as the Book of Enoch. Sheila says the Hollywood movies about Christ are watered down versions of the Bible. Right. Dr. Doom said Mel Gibson's closer to the truth than most, but still way off. Well, definitely, because here's the thing. I'm sorry, but Christ should be black. Like he was in reality. Okay? Like he was in reality. With that all being said. Sasha Mean said, I don't see no black folks, so what Gibson do? Nothing. Okay, so with that all being said, they're not physically stronger than us, so they tricked us mentally with dumb religious stories and beliefs. Now, I want you all to pay attention. Queen, I don't have one. Okay. So that all been said, listen, I'm about to be up out of here, but I want to tell you all something else that's interesting. So Iran was formerly Persia. Persia conquered Israel twice. Okay. And so this is going to be the third time, clearly, because they're losing this battle. But we're talking about a whole nother Israel, mind you. But with that all being said, also think about the video that I did about Cyrus the Great, how I said they're trying to portray Trump as Cyrus the Great. First of all, Trump is not Cyrus the Great, nor could he ever be. Okay. In fact, Cyrus the Great was Persian, which is what Iran is. Okay. The Iranians are Persians. All right. So with that all being said, we'll see how it all pans out. But I'm going to watch Mel Gibson's movie, whether if it's accurate 100% or not. Okay, but let me go back to the clip because they weren't finished talking. I thought that was the end of it. Reggie said Persia expelled Bibi's people. Yeah, they did. Absolutely, beloved.
Has confirmed is this. The film begins before Bethlehem. It opens with the fall of the angels. It will move through realms that have no equivalent in any Western biblical film ever produced. The resurrection, Gibson has said, cannot be told as a single linear event because it did not happen in a single linear dimension. When you understand what the Ethiopian Bible says about the structure of creation, about the seven heavens, the descent of Christ.
Okay, so let me say this before we roll out. G. Cabbage or Cabbage says they never existed until the mid-1940s. Well, that's true, but that's the state of Israel. That's the state. Okay, that's the state. And that's a whole lot different than the ones mentioned in the Bible. But also, let me just tell you all something. Do you all know who owns the copyright to the Bible, the King James Version? The British Royal Crown. Okay? That's who owns it. The British Royal Crown. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. The King James Version is generally in the public domain and free to use, except in the UK where the Crown copyright applies. Okay? So the British Royal Crown owns it. But do you know who published the Bible? HarperCollins Publishing. Do y'all know who HarperCollins Publishing is? Now, some of you should know because I told y'all this years ago, like about 6 years ago. HarperCollins Publishing. Hold on. I just thought about something. Let's see who owns HarperCollins Publishing. I just thought about that. Let me see who owns it. Global Media and Information Services is one of the big five. Hold on. Parent company is NASDAQ, NASDAQ, headquartered in New York City. Scottish publishing company, William Collins Sons, founded in 1819. Let me just tell y'all this. HarperCollins Publishing is the biggest distributor of corn with a P. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. HarperCollins Publishing is the biggest distributor of corn with a P. So it's very interesting that they're the same ones who published the Bible. Don't y'all find that interesting? Because I sure do. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm out of here, beloveds. I'm out of here. And I'll be back later. Everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Listen, I'll be back about 7:30, between 7:30 and 8. Okay? Between 7:30 and 8. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got